Hey everybody, today I just wanted to do a quick video on WebDAV in LabVIEW. So on my screen here, I've got a little tool. I actually have shared this in a previous video, so I don't necessarily want to dive too much into the tool, but focus more so on how the tool works. So just going to show you, I got a compact Rio connected, IP address, enter the credentials, click connect, and I can then see the root directory. I can double click files and it will read the contents of those files. I can navigate into these folders, right? So if I go into home, I can see there, LabVIEW user, well, maybe I want to read that file. We're going to National Instruments, LabVIEW data, etc. So yeah, got some stuff. I also can, right click on a file, click get. If I don't just want to read the contents, I can actually download the contents. Same thing, I can also go to this directory and click put, or I can even go to this and click delete. So I'm able to kind of remotely work with the file structure and using like a secure manner. So let's close this. And let's start looking a little bit at the WebDAV functions. So just for an example, right, when you click connect, you get this, I'm using this WebDAV open session, which basically passes in the URL to the device and the username and password, and it will establish a connection. And then, I can do stuff like, list the directory, etc. And then that connection stays open until you need to close it out. So yeah, let's take a little look at the WebDAV functions. So if you go to data communication and protocols, let's pin this. You've got this WebDAV section. So first off, you have these two functions, just a simple get and simple put. So when you use these ones, you do not need to open a session, then use your functions and close the session. This is just one simple function you can call to get a file. So pretty simple, right? I can pass in the path to the file I want to connect to, which will be HTTP / the IP address of my target / files, and then depending on where the file is, you peg on that file directory after that. Username and password to sign in, and if I have it set to buffer, I will output the text, basically the data of that file. I can also do get file, in which case it's going to I can basically input where I want that file to be downloaded to. And yeah, so whether I just want to know the contents of a file or actually get the file itself, I can do either of those. So the simple get is an easy way if you just want to quickly do something. Simple put is the same way. Then you have this synchronous and asynchronous. So they all have the same capabilities, right? So your synchronous looks almost entirely the same as the asynchronous. There's just a couple differences. So the synchronous, if you're interested in getting started with WebDAV, is by far the simplest. Right, so we're going to have this open session. If we need to, we can configure SSL, and that allows us to implement basically TLS or SSL on top of that WebDAV session. That way we can basically have encrypted communications back and forth for getting these files and transferring them around. So if security is important to you, definitely want to use this. You will have to pass in basically your certificate files, key files, so it knows how to encrypt that communication. You also can just use a VPN as well. So IP guard works on compact Rios. It allows you to basically securely through that VPN transmit data. So even if it's being transmitted over plain text, it's encrypted through the VPN tunnel and unencrypted on the other end. So if you want, you can use VPNs to help you encrypt some of that data. And this closed session just is used when you're done with your session. From there, we've got just a get and put, which are basically exactly what they are, what they sound like, right? Getting a file or putting a file, and we can pass in. And these also have, the either buffer or file, depending on whether we want just the contents or an actual file downloaded. We can create directories. We can list the directories. So I can say, hey, at this, certain file location, what files are there? I also can get details about a certain path. I can copy files. So I can basically just specify 2 locations on the device and copy a file from one location to another. I can move files on the remote device, and I can delete files on the remote device. So you can do pretty much anything with files that you can do, over here. So really kind of cool. If you're interested in WebDAV, I recommend the Synchronous. There is these Asynchronous, which has a lot of the same stuff, right? Open session, configure SSL, close session, get, put, copy, move, create directory, directory listing. The big difference, though, is when you use the Synchronous, when I do any of these requests, this VI is going to sit and wait until I get the data back that I've requested, or the action that I've specified is completed, and then move on. With the asynchronous, that's not necessarily the case. So if I do a get, I'm not going to just wait until I get back that data or get the file back. As you can see, if you look at that little context help, this is going to output a request handle. So then I can do other stuff, and then I can come back and get that data later. So they have some little functions here for basically checking the status of a request, aborting a request if you're just, hey, I don't want this anymore, you can, and closing out the request when you're done. And there also is this request events. So you can trigger events on these different things taking place as well. So it works kind of fundamentally the same, right? We're just doing get, puts, copy, moves, etc. The big difference being that when I use a get, I don't get the data back out of that function, right? I then can check on the status of that and get the data back out once it's available. So but depending on your needs, right, you may need asynchronous or synchronous. And sometimes all you really need is these simple get and simple put functions. So that would be kind of how you can use WebDAV in LabVIEW to securely connect to WebDAV servers. So your compact Rio, that can be a WebDAV server. You also can install WebDAV server software on just about any machine, right? It could even be a Windows PC you can set up as a WebDAV server. So that's a good way to transfer files securely and simply. And these functions all ship with LabVIEW. So that would be WebDAV in LabVIEW. Thanks for watching.
Canon Controls is your gateway to mastering LabVIEW. Dive into programming for data acquisition, industrial communications, and manufacturing automation. Explore how to enhance your projects with cybersecurity best practices. Join the journey to elevate your skills and secure your systems with every episode.